Oh, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to meet new people. I don't want to speak on stage. Oh, I'm so scared to hire somebody. I'm so scared to fire that person. These are all things that we fear often as business owners, but we have to overcome these fears if we want to grow our business. My name is Chaz Wilson, president and founder of Master Networks. And today I'm going to share with you a couple of things of why you have to overcome your fears to grow your business. This is something I wished I'd known when I started my business. It would have saved me a lot of headache, a lot of pain, and probably had broke through ceilings of growth much sooner. So understanding you have to overcome your fears is such an important thing. Like one of the ones I hear all the time is, I'm afraid to hire somebody, right? It's always been me. It's always been me. I get to make the decisions. I get to decide marketing thing, what price I sell this for. It's always about the decisions I get to make. And when I hire somebody, like I have to give up some of that. I have to turn some of that over. And I hear this all the time. Like, I really want to stay small because I get to control every bit of the business, or I'm a control freak, or I'm a quality person. And if I give that up, that's going to change my business. And the reality is those things just aren't true because you can't do it all. And so you've got to overcome your fear. And one of those probably is hiring somebody. And what usually happens when we face our fear, it's actually our body, our mind telling us that that's the thing we actually have to overcome, because inherently we know that if we overcome that, big things happen in our business. I go back years ago when my mentor sat down with me when I first started my company, and we were laying out all these plans and we visioned for the future. And he said, Chaz, for you to be able to do this, you're going to have to become a public figure and become a public speaker. And you're going to have to do it at a really high level if you want to grow the brand nationally the way that we're drawing it out. For those of you who've followed me for a while and know me, you know about my shyness as a child, my fear at times of getting on stage, and like the few times I could train in a small group, but getting on stage and being that public figure, man, that really freaked me out. That really put that pit in my stomach. And if you're watching this, you know what that means. That might, for you, it could be something small, could be something big, but usually when you fear it, it's something big. And what I realized in that moment when he shared that with me is that, first of all, he was right. And second of all, probably the reason I feared that the most is because that was the one thing standing in my way of growing my brand and growing my business. I'm thankful for that I knew that right away, that I had to get on stages and I had to get public, in the public eye to be able to grow the brand and the business. And to be truthful, while it's not a fear, it's still not easy. And as you overcome the fear, it gets easier. It may never go away, where that speaking fear or that sometimes those challenges of anxiety and other things, they may never go away. But I'm stepping into it even though I may fear some of those things. I've been asked to speak on some pretty big stages lately and be in rooms with some very successful people, and those same fears come back again. So they never really go away. You've just learned the skill of how to approach them and how to break through them. So the first thing is identify what your fear is. What is the thing that, like, if you were asked to do right now, if you could have that conversation with yourself and be like, self, what is the thing that I need to overcome? What is the thing that I fear the most? What's the one thing that probably would scale my business that I'm not doing because I'm afraid? Is it getting on sales calls? Is it speaking on stages? Is it hiring somebody? Is it firing somebody? Whatever that is, it's you telling yourself subconsciously, this is the thing that's standing in my way. I think we often look at successful business people and we think they probably don't have any fear, right? They're fearless. They take tons of risk. The reality is it's the opposite. Every successful business owner that I've been around, when maybe it's at a dinner or in a safe place we're talking where they don't think that others are going to hear, you'll hear them share their fears. They all have them. We all have them. And it's okay. It's just acknowledge it and move through it. The reality is that if you can acknowledge your fear and you can learn how to face it, and there's an interesting study that goes back, and I don't remember the exact statistics, but it was something like 97% of the thing that we think will go wrong never happens. And if it even happened closely, it's nowhere near as bad as we thought. And so the reality is that as we face our fears, as we move through things that we think are a roadblock, and we just approach them with, what's the worst that could happen? Like, so for me, speaking on stages, as my mentor had said, was a big fear. And so I started to have the self-talk. What is the thing that could possibly happen? Well, I could get on stage and I could bomb. I could get on stage and trip and fall. I could fall off the stage. My mic could not work. My clicker could, my mind starts going through all the things that could possibly go wrong, which, by the way, over the years, each one of those has happened. Not all at the same time, but each one of those has happened. But because I approached the fear, it wasn't as bad. But you start to have the self-talk. What's the worst that could happen, right? And I start to make that mental list in my head. What if this happened? What if that happened? Then I had to shift my thinking. What's possible if I actually kill it? What's possible if I get on stage and I crush it? What's possible if there's people in the room that hear what I have to say, follow our brand, follow me, get excited about it, and join? right? What's possible if? What does it look like when? Those were the way I had to reframe the question in my head so that I didn't take myself down a path, right? These stories in my head. I think back to a guy who talked about how he was homeless and he would sneak into this building to sleep there at night. And he would, when the janitor was done, he would kind of like leave the bathroom and run into the janitor's closet, and he would hide there and he would sleep there at night. And he did this for some time until one night he woke up in the middle of the night. He's hiding in this janitor's closet. He hears a door slam and it wakes him up, kind of peeks out, realizes he didn't know what it was, but he was awake, and there was a mirror on the wall. And when he was laying in the janitor's closet, he was laying, I guess the janitor had swept all the dirt in there, and so the lights were off, he laid down, he got up, he realized he was covered in soot and dirt. And he's looking at this mirror and he sees himself just filthy. He's like 24 years old. He's homeless. He has nothing. And he starts to have that self-talk of like, one of his parents was in prison, one was an alcoholic. And so he had all the stories of why he was where he was and all the excuses. And he said in that moment when he was looking in the mirror, he heard an audible voice that said, "David, when are you going to drop that story?" And it hit him so hard. And it's like a lot of the things that we fear are stories, and so he decided he was going to drop these stories that were holding him back, and the fear of success and the fear of what was possible. And in fact, when I heard him tell his story, he was like in the top 5 real estate agents in the whole world. And he was in his 60s at this point, but he was one of the top 5 realtors in the whole world. He dropped the stories that were holding him back, the fear that was there. By the way, if this is helpful, go ahead and like and subscribe to this. And if you find it valuable, share it with a friend. But often what the fear, the stories that we're telling ourselves that hold us back are the very things that we know deep down we have to overcome. The question for you is, go ahead and face that fear. Look not at what could happen, like what could go wrong, but what's possible when. When you phrase it that way and you approach that fear, I promise on the other side of fear, and you've probably heard that fear often stands for false evidence appearing real. It's just not real. It's just false. It's the stories we tell ourselves. So drop that story, focus on the things you know that can bring you success so you can stand on a stage and say, what's possible? What could happen if? And see that success as you face your fears.